Welcome everybody to College Week Live. We are going to present Whose Line Is It Anyway? Understanding Your Financial Aid Award Letter. But before we get into the presentation, we would like to say congratulations on being accepted to college. Woohoo!
Yay.
You guys did the hard part. The 4 years of sweat and blood and tears, well maybe not blood, but the late nights studying and managing projects and activities. You deserve a really giant high five. Do you want a high five?
High five.
So while the financing piece might be the scary part, just know that you've done something really amazing. You've made it to college, and you should be proud of yourself for that.
Good for you.
So, a little bit about me. My name is Jody Then, and I have been with American Student Assistance for almost 12 years. I have spent most of my career working in college access and financial advising and higher education. It's something I love, and I am so excited to be here today talking to you all about financial aid and understanding your award letter.
And I am Katie Holland. I am an Associate Director of Financial Aid at UMass Boston. I've been working in financial aid for over 25 years. I also am the parent of 3 college-age children, so understand a lot about what you're going through as a family, as well as the nervousness for the student making their way towards school. So hopefully we'll be able to help you ease some of those fears and concerns with information about financial aid.
So I'm from the ASA College Planning Center, as I mentioned, and just a little bit about the ASA College Planning Sister. We're located in Boston. We are a local and statewide resource for families who are going through the college process. And we help with everything related to that college process. We help with admissions and financial aid applications. We help students think about what colleges might be best for them, what career programs they might want to be involved in. We help students understanding how to manage their loans, what they're getting into when it comes to taking out student loans. And we help pretty much everyone who walks through the door. So if you're watching this from the New England area, come visit. And a little bit about UMass Boston, Katie?
UMass Boston is the metropolitan Boston area's only 4-year public institution. We're located over in Boston Harbor by the JFK Library, which is an exciting area to be in, offering many, many programs for both undergraduate and graduate students. And we certainly, I'll give our little plug, hope that you would consider UMass Boston when looking for colleges.
So now a little bit about SALT. SALT is a fantastic resource from ASA. It's a money coach. It's a totally free website that provides students with the tools and the information to manage their debt, to make better decisions about financing their education and repaying their student loans. It is, this is a little website snippet for you so you can see what our website looks like. It has features that will help you find scholarships. It has features that will help you compare loan borrowing options. And it's really there as a resource for you to make this process easier for you and to help you borrow smart and repay your loans in a way that works for you. So, here is what we are going to be talking about today. I don't know why our PowerPoint isn't working. There we go. We're going to be talking about award letters. We're going to be talking about what award letters look like, what they entail, what a balance is, how you pay for that balance. We're going to hear real life stories from students who had struggles and challenges very similar to what some of you might be facing. Please feel free to post questions during the presentation. We're very happy to answer them throughout. And at the end of the presentation, you're going to be prompted to take a very quick survey. There's a link that you can click on to bring you to the survey. And once you enter it, once you complete the survey, you'll be entered into a drawing for a $50 Amazon gift card. So don't forget to take the survey. All right, so what does college really cost? There's a couple things you need to understand first. When students and families think about paying for college, they're really thinking about two or three main things. They're thinking about the tuition, or tuition and fees, and if you're going to be living on campus, room and board. These are known as direct costs, or what we like to call the bill. However, there's a lot more involved in paying for college. You have to outfit your dorm with pretty green lamps. You might call home every now and then, or you might have a cell phone bill. You're not going to want to eat in the campus cafeteria every day, so you're going to need money for pizza with your friends. You might need a computer if you're going to be, joining a sports team or pledging a sorority or fraternity. All the other stuff is known as indirect costs. And colleges have a phrase that they like to call cost of attendance. It's everything. It's the direct costs plus the indirect costs, or what I like to call the whole kit and caboodle.
And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how the cost of attendance comes into play when determining your financial aid eligibility, and some of the key terms involved in determining aid eligibility are certainly cost of attendance and expected family contribution. And the expected family contribution is determined by when you file your FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid that everyone has to file and everyone dreads.
Which hopefully most of you have filed it already.
Exactly. Now is definitely the time to be doing that. And making sure that each of the schools that you're applying to, you've listed on your FAFSA. The FAFSA takes all the information that you've provided about your family and about your family's financial circumstances and puts it into a formula which generates the expected family contribution. And generally, that is they're hoping to reflect what a family might be able to contribute towards educating the student for 1 year. And that is, it's a 9-month contribution, the 9 months while you're in school, so 1 school year. And every school is going to use that figure to determine your financial need. It is not necessarily an amount that you will pay. Most schools realize that families are not able to write a check for that amount. So do not be put off. It can be a very, very scary thing when you hit the button and that expected family contribution appears. Schools do understand that there's more into play. But generally, when we are trying to determine your financial need, that's the basic formula is your cost of attendance minus your family contribution gives us your need. And then when we talk about financial need, when schools are working towards building what we call a financial aid package, the financial aid award, we are trying to get as close to that need figure as possible. And sometimes we get closer than others. It is not necessarily what you will get, but it is an idea of how much financial need you have for the schools to play with when they're trying to come up with a reasonable financial aid package. So this example says your cost of attendance might be $35,000. We talked about cost of attendance and how it includes a lot more than just the bill. It includes things like transportation and books and supplies. So then subtract a family contribution of $5,000 and you have financial need of $30,000, and that's what the school can try to reach. It doesn't happen all the time, so please be aware of that. But it is an idea of how we determine the need of a student.
I'm going to ask you a question, Katie, that just came in from our audience, and that is, how is this, or how can international students get financial aid?
International students are not eligible for federal student aid. That would be something that they would need to contact and research individual schools to determine if they have programs for international students and what kind of aid institutionally they are given. Or there are some loan programs private loan programs that can be used.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to get into what a financial aid award letter entails, We're actually going to see a sample of a financial aid award letter, and we're going to talk a little bit about what some of your options are in, paying any balances that you might have, or, how to maybe get a little bit more financial aid. So, before we talk about what a financial award letter looks like, I wanted to talk about the types of money and aid that you might see on an award letter. Oops, sorry about that. So first we're going to talk about the types of free aid. There's mostly, when we talk about free aid, we're talking about grants and scholarships. A lot of times these two terms are used interchangeably because, in my opinion, free money is free money. Who cares what it's called, right? But grants are usually based on need, and for the most part they're provided by the federal and state government and some institutions. An example of a grant would be the federal Pell Grant. Scholarships are usually based on some sort of personal characteristic, some kind of achievement. They might be based on grades. There's scholarships for being left-handed, for having one blue eye and one green eye, for making a prom dress out of duct tape. You can pretty much find a scholarship for almost any talent or characteristic you might have. They're often provided by an outside agency. Sometimes they're provided by the school. The thing to keep in mind with scholarships is scholarships are oftentimes a one-time deal, especially if they're an outside scholarship. You might get them once, and if you want to get them again, you might have to reapply for that scholarship. If they're given out by a school, you might have to maintain a certain grade point average, and if you drop below that grade point average, you run the risk of losing the scholarship. Grants, especially federal and state grants, as long as your family situation and your income situation doesn't change too much, you'll probably get those grants from year to year. And then, lottery winnings, hey, we all have a dollar and a dream, don't we? So it could happen. It's probably a one-time deal if it does happen, so you'll have to decide to use your winnings once or over the next 4 to 6 years. If you are winning the lottery, though, over and over, can you please live chat me after this? Because I'd like to know what you're doing.
Give us your numbers.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Okay.
And one other thing that but when we use the term free aid, we're talking about things that do not have to be paid back. And those are obviously the most sought after types of awards that you're looking for. Determining whether it is they're monies that need to be paid back or not. So the free aid, that's what we're referring to.
And here's some non-free aid. So non-free aid comes in the form of loans and employment. When we talk about employment, we're talking about employment on campus through the Federal Work-Study Program. But student loans, there's two main types of student loans. There's direct subsidized and direct unsubsidized loans. Right now, for this academic year, they're at a 3.86% interest rate. Subsidized loans, the interest does not start accruing until you graduate college. For the unsubsidized loans, interest accrues as soon as you borrow the loan. So, in addition to direct loans, there's also something called the Perkins loan. Not all colleges participate in the Perkins loan program, so it's a really good idea to investigate whatever colleges that you're applying to. Investigate and see if they offer the Perkins loan, and if they do, it's a 5% interest rate.
And one of the things about the Perkins loan is that schools are allocated a certain amount of money in the Perkins loan program, where with the direct loans, if you're eligible for them, you are able to receive them. Perkins loans, there is an allocation to the school, and so those are awarded on a first come, first served basis. So one of the keys to getting a lot of this free aid, and even the non-free, the Perkins, which has a good interest rate, is applying on time and applying early and being sure that you're on the school's websites and investigating when their deadlines are. Hopefully, like we said earlier, you've already filled out your FAFSA, but if not, that's something you want to do tonight. Get that done.
So another type of non-free aid is employment through the Federal Work-Study Program. And work-study is not really free money, it's not non-free money, it's somewhere in between. You have to actually earn it. So what will happen is a college will award you a certain amount of work-study money, and it is up to you to actually go out and find a work-study job on campus. If you don't work, you don't get that money. Work-study also does not come off of your bill. It is up to you to use that to either pay towards your bill, or you can use it to pay for some of those other indirect costs, like indirect costs like books or food or
on
something
campus,
else.
right.
So, but the key is, to actually go out and look for a work-study job that you might enjoy. Work study is a great opportunity to network, to gain job experience. It doesn't impact your expected family contribution. So we're a big fan of work study.
Right. I would recommend people look for work study whenever possible. I know that on our campus at UMass, we have a database that has all kinds of jobs listed. We have on campus, we have off campus opportunities. That again is a limited amount of money. Schools get an allocation, and when the work study funds are awarded and gone, then we are unable to continue awarding it. So you want to get in there early and talk to the student employment office, talk about how many opportunities there are, and find something that interests you. It's a great way to get connected and anchored to the campus. It's really a wonderful opportunity.
And one of the questions that just came in is an internship part of work study? Usually an internship is not part of work study.
Right.
However, some schools that might offer a co-op program will use that money earned from a co-op program, and it's almost looked at like work study, but it's not actually work study.
Right, because the work study is a federal program if it comes through the federal funds, so it is need-based. And oftentimes schools have different programs like the internship programs, or we have a student employment office that doesn't require federal work study. So those are the kind of things you want to find out ahead of time.
So always check with your school, always check with the various student employment offices, or if there's a work study office or your
Right.
financial aid office, to see what kind of availabilities and opportunities that they have for you. So now we're going to actually look at a sample award letter from UMass Boston.
Yes. And this is I hate to use the word typical, because this happens to be an award letter for this year where a student did very, very well in high school and was awarded the Chancellor's tuition waiver and the Chancellor's fee waiver. That is a tuition and fee. The value of that is for the total tuition and fees charged at UMass Boston. This is a renewable. We talked earlier about renewable, whether they're for a year or more. It will have a component on the GPA component. You have to meet a certain GPA in order to continue. There's also the Pell Grant. I'm going to have to use my glasses for this one because we're going to see. So you see the federal Pell Grant. In addition to that, the Mass Grant, and wherever you may be, the states often have their own grants. They have deadlines. If the FAFSA is filed by a certain time, you're considered for a state grant. This student filed on time and was considered. In Massachusetts, it's May 1st. That's much later than some of the school deadlines, so you want to be making sure you're meeting your earliest deadline to maximize your eligibility. We've got the Mass Grant for the fall and the spring, and then the Chancellor's tuition waiver and fee waiver, and then finally the loans. And very often on an award letter, you will see that the most advantageous award is at the top. And so you'll see that you have the loans on the bottom, and we work our way up, and you'll see that though you have your free money or the funds that do not need to be paid back at the bottom. There's also institutional, so there's different types of aid. Right on this package alone, we have federal, we have state, and we have institutional. And this is an example of what the award letter, of a typical award letter.
And what's missing from this award letter, what's not listed here,
Right.
is work study. It doesn't mean that the student wasn't necessarily eligible for work study. He might not have needed work study. Similarly, there's only one student loan. There's only the direct subsidized loan. The student might not, again, probably doesn't need the unsubsidized loan.
In this particular situation, that would go back to the cost of attendance, and you cannot get an award in excess of your cost of attendance. So based on this, when I look at it and I see there's a subsidized but not an unsubsidized loan listed, it's because the student's cost of attendance was met. We've got the cost of attendance met in this award. So if a school has a cost of attendance of $50,000, for example, then you would see the unsubsidized loan and perhaps some more institutional funding. You cannot receive an award in excess of that cost of attendance. The cost of attendance really plays a big role in the awarding, as does the EFC.
And as we'll see in a couple more slides, or actually the next few slides, cost of attendance can vary from person to person at the same institution.
Exactly. Yep, that's true.
So we're going to play a little game now called What Do You Owe? Now, based on what UMass Boston had given this student in financial aid, the total was $22,150. The direct costs for this year are $11,966. And then because this student was living nearby, probably a liberal arts major, not a
Right.
nursing or an engineering major where they
Yes.
needed a lot of books or materials.
Definitely.
And probably a dependent student, meaning they still lived at home with their family. Their indirect costs were estimated at about $2,000 for transportation, $800 for books, and a little over $2,300 for personal expenses. So again, based on this, what do you think you actually owe the school? Do you want to sing the Jeopardy theme song? Do, 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 do. Okay. You owe $11,966. Direct costs only.
That's the bill. That is from what you are billed from the university. And if you're at, that's a student who does not have a dormitory charge. So.
And again, UMass has estimated that these indirect costs amount to about $5,160 based on where the student lives, that they're
Right.
a commuter student, but it could be more if they were living in an apartment.
Exactly. It can definitely be more. If a student is an out-of-state student, the cost will be significantly higher. Certainly, depending on where you're living, if you're living with your parents or if you're living in an apartment. If you're an independent student, for example, if you have costs associated with living alone, living on your own. So it can vary wildly, and you certainly want to be aware of what those are.
And the difference between a dependent student and an independent student is a dependent student has to answer certain questions on the FAFSA, like were you born before 1991? Are you married? Do you have children? And if you answer no to all those questions, you're a dependent student.
And dependency, that's a big issue that comes up a lot. The definition of a dependent is different for financial aid purposes than it may be in the rest of the world. Like Jody had said, there are specific questions asked on the FAFSA, and you are required to provide parental information if it's determined that you, for financial aid purposes, are considered a dependent.
So parents, don't go kicking your kids out of the house
It
just
doesn't
yet.
work, or stop taking them as a deduction.
Yeah.
Sometimes parents stop taking their children as an exemption, and it doesn't work. So
what you want to do, you're going to have a lot of award letters, assuming that you applied to more than one college or have been accepted to more than one college. And unfortunately, very few financial aid award letters look exactly the same. They're all different. Some list them in different orders. Some list them based on a full year. Some break them out over 2 semesters.
Right.
I've even seen award letters that actually list summer as well. So what you want to do is find a college cost calculator. Here is an example of one from MIFA. MIFA is a Massachusetts nonprofit organization that also helps students with their college financing journeys. But there's a lot of calculators out there. Finaid.org, FINAID.org, also has a wonderful college cost calculator that, in addition to comparing costs, also let you look at things like how much snow a school gets, or what the academic quality is. So whatever you use, the bottom line is that you really need to understand what you are paying out of pocket, not just each semester or each year, but for the next 4 to 6 years. In this case, according to this college cost calculator from MIFA, as you can see, College A, the out-of-pocket costs are $17,000 for a year for College A. College B, it's $2,000 for the year. That's a very big difference when you're thinking about being in school for the next 4 to 6 years. If you're in a special program like pharmacy or physical therapy or
Right.
occupational therapy, you're looking at possibly 6 to 7 years. So it's very important that you look at this as really a long-term journey, a long-term investment. Now, if you do have a balance, you do have many options, both in terms of how to meet that balance, and we also are going to talk about how to appeal a financial aid award. But first, let's talk about covering the balance. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you're minimizing how much additional money you might need to borrow. So you want to use as many options as possible. Some of those options include using a payment plan. Every college has a payment plan. Looking at any kind of savings. Students, do you have a summer job? Try and get one. Use that money to help pay your tuition. Looking at any kind of scholarships from your parents' employers. Looking at any kind of outside scholarships. Maybe you can be an orientation leader your sophomore year. So again, the goal is to minimize how much you borrow each year. We're going to look at a case study now of a student named David. David was actually one of my students, and David had got accepted to his first choice college. Yay, David! Unfortunately, the school, even though David had really great grades and had really great community service, he still had a balance of about $15,000 each semester for $30,000 for the year. He tried to get a lot of outside scholarships, and one of the issues with outside scholarships is you have to apply to a lot just to get a few.
Yes.
So I like to say that it's about a 15-to-1 ratio. There's a lot of scholarship websites out there that you can go to, but for every 15 scholarships you apply to, you might get one if you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
15.
And a lot of the scholarships, the outside scholarships, tend to be $250,
Right,
$1,000, not $30,000. So David had a $30,000 balance. He tried looking for outside scholarships. He had a small summer job. His parents actually recently became unemployed, but his mom said, this is his dream school, and we're going to do whatever we can to make it happen. So, what do you think actually happened? Well, David did enroll. They actually cobbled enough money for that first semester. They borrowed from family. He worked 2 jobs over the summer, found a couple small scholarships. But when it came time for that second semester, they just couldn't do it. Mom wasn't able to borrow from friends or family anymore because she was recently unemployed. She was a risky borrower and couldn't borrow from a private lender. So David actually had to withdraw from school for that second semester. Not only couldn't he pay for that second semester, he actually still had a balance from the previous semester. And because he owed the school money, he actually couldn't get a copy of his official transcripts, which meant he couldn't transfer any of his credits to another school. So he came home for the January semester. He couldn't enroll in a community college. He actually had to wait until the following September, and he started all over as a freshman. If he had actually made better decisions, he might have, started off at a community college,
Right.
gone for, free to little money. Maybe he could have taken a gap year or done something, other than try and spend all of the money that they had on that one semester.
Right.
He wasted a whole year. And it was really unfortunate because, again, he had great grades. He had gotten into a lot of other colleges, but this one college just was not the best financial fit for him.
And that term financial fit is such a good I think, a great way of looking at it. We think about college and academics, all of which is so, so, so important, but to what end if you find yourself unable to continue where you are, as opposed to, I always like to say to families, you may be able to get where you want to go, but taking a different route, like the community colleges. Do a couple of years at a community college and transfer to your dream school. You end up with the dream school degree for half the cost.
So one of the things that David and his family did not do was they did not appeal to the financial aid office. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give you some information and tools on how to effectively speak with a financial aid counselor.
Great. So one of the things you want to understand is that certainly schools will entertain appeals if you have a reason for your appeal. I know certainly at UMass Boston, if we are requested to reevaluate someone's eligibility, we will look at anyone who applies for an appeal. We call, in most cases, it's considered a special conditions appeal, meaning that when you filed your FAFSA, these were the circumstances, and the information is accurate, but since that time, something has happened that would change your ability to pay. A parent has lost a job. There's all kinds of different things that can go on. Also, if there's anything that you feel you would like your financial aid counselor to take into consideration, we certainly have some leeway in what your financial aid award is, and some schools do. There are other schools, this is again something that we need to be in touch with the schools, will not, don't entertain appeals. We like to think that we certainly would look at someone's situation again, just to be sure that we've done the right thing and that we are looking at the family circumstances and their ability to pay accurately. So I would recommend that you contact the financial aid office to see if in fact there is any additional assistance, depending on when you're, at what stage in the award cycle you are. There may not be any additional funding available, and then ask them exactly how they would like the appeal presented. Do they want it in letter form? Some places may have a form. Some schools may have a form they use. So,
and the more information that you provide, the better. This is not a time to, be humble or to,
exactly
lay it all out on the table. And also asking for any kind of assistance, not just free money, is really helpful. I've actually had students who were really successful in having their financial aid award letter appealed by offering to do stipended work. One student became a commuter ambassador and was given $2,500 by her school for the year. Another student offered to be a mentor to international students and was given more money for that.
Excellent.
So any type of assistance, not just scholarship money, is okay to ask for.
And even through the need-based, you're asking usually through the need-based financial aid office. Many times we'll refer students to our merit scholarship office, that there might be monies available through merit scholarships that they may not have known about. So make a contact in the financial aid office, because they will also help you and can guide you in the right direction.
Yeah, and there's on the bottom of this page, there's a great link to a blog on saltmoney.org on how to write a financial aid appeal letter. But again, always make sure that you're talking to the financial aid office at your school. And again, the more information that you can provide,
Right.
the better. So any kind of special circumstances that you have,
Exactly.
any, where your medical expenses, especially,
people don't realize that.
anything sort of strange that might have happened. I had a student who actually, someone drove a car through the front of their house 2 weeks before she was supposed to start school,
Yes.
and all their money had to go towards literally rebuilding their
the
house.
Exactly. Something unusual that puts you, why you think that we may need to look at it, because in the beginning we are looking at thousands and thousands and thousands of applications.
And feel free to do a budget worksheet, especially if it helps you organize where your money goes. It'll help the financial aid counselors to see where your money
Sure.
goes.
Yes.
Sometimes they can take it into consideration, sometimes they can't. Usually they won't take any kind of existing debt into consideration unless it's something like, your parent lost their job and they had to put all their groceries on their, their credit card. That is something that's going to be looked at differently than, you decided to go shopping and have a $6,000
Right.
balance on your
Right.
credit card.
Right, exactly. The more information, the better, definitely, to get us a clearer picture of what it is that you're looking for, or what it is why you're different than someone else whose numbers match your numbers. So this is, how to talk to your financial aid office. And again, we've been through a lot of it. Say it all. Tell us sometimes what it is, how much would it take for you to be able to do this, and how what your plan is too, to be helping yourself going forward as sincerely as you can. Anything that you can document, that is huge, because then we will make it part of your record, and we will be able to have a reason why we increase your aid, so that one of the biggest things is integrity. You want to make sure you're treating everybody the same way. And if you get a bump up, why did we? There's documentation there. And again, put all your cards on the table. That's the best thing that you can do for yourself.
And it's also good to have the student be a part of the conversation.
Definitely.
The student is really the one who needs to advocate for themselves whenever possible. And, they're the ones who really, it's a good idea for the student to develop a relationship with the financial aid office and their financial aid counselor.
And that's huge too. In a lot of schools, certainly at UMass Boston, we have an assigned caseload. So there is a counselor who is assigned to a student based on the student's last name. And so you really and truly want to make that contact, because then the student is with you, the counselor is with you throughout your time at the school. And that's a big thing for someone to get to know you. And definitely the student should be involved at every stage of this process. First of all, they may be the ones taking on the debt, if they're student loans, and understanding exactly what they're getting themselves into. And it's certainly worth their while to be a part of it.
So now we think you're ready to actually choose which college you want to attend. We've given you all the tools to really compare your financial aid award letters and help you understand what they mean and how to make the best decision for yourself. So again, things that you need, this is a journey, and we really want to stress that this is a 4 to 6 year journey.
It truly is a journey.
And hopefully it won't take you longer than 4 to 6 years. We've known people who have graduated college in 8 to 10 years, depending on,
Right.
how many times they change their majors, or
A lot of those academic decisions, changing
Right.
majors and things, have huge financial implications. And certainly you should check with your financial aid counselor before you make any of those changes as well.
So things you can do today include, really looking at the costs of all the colleges that you're applying to, doing an apples to apples comparison. What are the tuition and fees at each college? What are the room and board? Most importantly, what are my out-of-pocket expenses, and what is my debt going to be for each college that you're applying to? Should you revisit any of your decisions? Do you maybe want to think about applying to a community college or a state college? And how can you use all of your resources that you have now to reduce any kind of future debt? And then for the future, think about, again, how am I going to appeal my financial aid award? Are there things that I can do, like becoming a resident assistant or
Right,
becoming an
exactly.
orientation leader, to reduce the costs of my educational expenses? Have you thought about doing something like AmeriCorps, where once you're finished with AmeriCorps, you get
Right.
money for college?
Yeah.
Have you thought about, maybe working at a college and going part-time and getting tuition remission? Or doing a gap year that might help to give you more opportunities to apply for scholarships.
Right. All of those are excellent.
So
There's
these
a
are things
million
that you
different
should be
things.
thinking about. One of the things that you might want to use to help you compare all the pros and cons for the colleges and the decisions you're making is on the SALT website. There's a pro versus con worksheet. This is a great tool to use in combination with the MIFA College Cost Calculator or the FinAid.org College Cost Calculator to really, lay it out for you so you can see how, to list all of the different things that you value in these college choices and the potential impacts that it could have on your decision and your future finances.
Right, and I really like this too because this sometimes makes you rethink what what's important to you and what isn't when you're thinking about when you're choosing your college. When you actually put it in writing or go onto a site and put it in, it does make you reevaluate sometimes what's important and prioritizing. It's a great exercise.
This worksheet can be found on saltmoney.org. And again, saltmoney.org is a great website and has a lot of these kinds of interactive tools. There's also a scholarship search feature. There's a lot of great articles, so definitely make sure that you check this out.
Well worth your time.
So now I want to talk about a case study that actually has a really happy ending. This is the case study of Brenda. Brenda was also a student of mine. And Brenda did not do very well in high school. She had a pretty low GPA, not because she wasn't talented or capable, but high school just wasn't her thing. And that's very common among a lot of people. And, because she had a low GPA, she didn't have as many options available to her for college. So when it came time to apply, at most of the colleges she applied to, she wasn't eligible for merit aid, and she had a pretty big balance. So she appealed her, she appealed and looked for scholarships and, tried to get some extra jobs. And, no matter what she did, she really just was not able to get enough money to go to any of the colleges she applied to. So what she did was Brenda decided she was going to go to community college.
Great choice.
She had, she only had to pay a little bit of money out of pocket, and she used a payment plan. So she had no debt. She was able to access some of her state and, federal grants. And at community college, she got her GPA up, and it went up to, a 3.5 or a 4.0, was really high. And Brenda was an aspiring film major. And the schools that she had originally applied to didn't have very strong film programs. But after going to community college and getting involved in the school's television, they had a television studio, and she was able to do all these things with her high GPA. She actually transferred to one of the best film schools in the country. And because she had no debt from her first 2 years and was now able to get some merit scholarships, she ended up graduating in a little over 4 years with only about $10,000 in student loans. So this, is just an example of, how revisiting some of those decisions can really, can not only help you improve your financial future, but you might end up at a school that's a better fit for you overall, that has better programs, and where you're likely to be more successful.
Right, and starting out better off, having those 2 years behind you. It's just a community college is just such a great option for many, many, many people.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone and a launching pad.
Yes.
For just bigger and better things.
Right.
So, again, please keep the questions coming. Some of the questions that people have been submitting were wonderful, and we've been answering them as we've gone through. Some of the questions that people have been asking have been related to things like GPA, which, for those questions, make sure you go to our live chat. On the College Week Live website that you're on right now, there should be a link where you can just chat now, and those are great questions to ask some of our counselors who are available to you at this moment. So if there are no other questions, don't forget to complete the survey. Following this presentation, it is you'll be able to be blah, blah, blah. You will be entered to win an Amazon gift card in the amount of $50. And the winners will be notified by email. We did have a question just come in right now, the maximum loan amounts. So the maximum loan amounts depend on what year you are in school.
Right, and your dependency. So it's what year, if you're a dependent student, freshman is $5,500, second year is $65, and then the third and fourth, or third and above, is $7,500 for the federal direct student loans. And as an independent student, those are higher. I should know exactly what they are. I believe it's $4,000 additional each year.
Okay. And this is also just a reminder, the live chat will start at 6. So again, any questions that we're not able to answer now, make sure that you go onto the live chat at 6 o'clock. And another student asked how much is a Texas grant. If it's anything like Massachusetts, my guess is that it will depend on whether or not you're a full-time student, a part-time student, and the type of college that you're going to. So the
And
best,
also your family contribution,
Yes,
excuse me,
and
I
your
apologize.
expected
For your
family contribution.
will impact that as well. It's certainly, at least in Massachusetts, that's what it does.
so the best thing to do is to call the college's financial aid office and ask them, based on your expected family contribution and your, dependency status and whether you're a full or part-time student, how much you might be eligible for.
And you can also, I'm sure that the state of Texas has an Office of Student Financial Assistance, and they would probably be able to also provide you that information online as well, once you know your expected family contribution.
Yeah, every state is a little bit different in
definitely.
how they award money and what their maximums are. So if no more questions are coming in, Katie and I would like to thank you so much for your
Thank you,
time.
everybody, and this has been great.
And we hope that you learned a lot. And, at 6 o'clock, make sure that you're asking us questions in that live chat room.
Great, and good luck. Good luck with
Yes,
everything.
good luck,
It's a
and
it's a great search,
congratulations.
and congratulations.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.